Atlanta. The Metzeler finals are truly a two-wheel happening. Since Thursday, hundreds of racers have been vying for national championships in 35 classes. They earned the right to be here, qualifying in Wera regional events throughout the United States. With a class for just about anybody and anything, the pits and paddock here at Road Atlanta have played host to a wide assortment of racing machines and riders of varying levels of skill. The common denominator? Their love of the sport and the thrill of doing battle on this magnificent, ultra-fast 2.5-mile facility. As we pointed out at the top of the show, some will go on to reach international stardom, while most will be content to have been part of a sport that knows no limits on adrenaline rushes and camaraderie. On today's program, we will concentrate on the riders who have reached the professional ranks, more specifically, the stars of Formula USA. Coming into this, the final round of the series, 3 riders are mathematically in the hunt for the FUSA title. Ironically, the 2 riders that have the best chance at the FUSA crown are teammates. Both ride for the most powerful team in the Wera Pro Series, Team Valvoline Suzuki. Leading the standings, California's Chuck Graves. Texan Michael Martin is second in the standings. Both ride immaculately prepared Suzuki GSXR 1100 base machines. And both understand what it's going to take to win that #1 plate.
Really no strategy. We're just going to have to do the best that we can. Put our head down. We got the Valvoline Suzuki working really good, Keith Perry and I, and really no strategy. We're just going to have to go out and do the best that we can. And
as far as strategy for the race, to try to win the championship, I think I'm just going to go out and have fun. Just make it a fun race, and I think everything will work out just fine.
If teammates Graves or Martin were to falter badly, Californian Rich Oliver, third in the standings, would be in position to steal the title. The veteran Yamaha 250 rider is keenly aware of his situation.
It's going to be tough. Chucky Graves has 13 points on me. Michael Martin only has 2. So something's got to go wrong for probably one of those guys, Chuck Graves, for me to catch up, and I'll have to win the race.
With me to help bring you all of the exciting road race action from Road Atlanta is Prime Network's expert road race analyst, Richard Chambers. Richard, you know the stories. How about a prediction before the green flag drops?
Larry, with 2 exciting 10-lap legs, these riders have got to just go from the drop of the green flag. No strategy at all, flat-out racing. Almost anything could happen, too. I think we're going to see some great racing.
Strategy, great racing, all that in consideration. I'm looking for a prediction.
Larry, there's going to be a Valvoline Suzuki in victory lane before this thing's over here this weekend.
Guy's hedging his bet, isn't he? Before we get into the championship battles, let's take a closer look at this Road Atlanta facility. 12 turns, 2.5 miles around, and it is a treacherous 2.5 miles. We put a camera on the front end of Chuck Graves' motorcycle. Rich, as we take this ride, tell us a little bit about this track.
Going into turn #1, it's a hard downshifting right-hand climb that'll take you up across the top of the hill. The paving really doing a good job to smooth out this and the rest of the racetrack as well. You touch both sides of the pavement as the curbs come into play. Turn 3 is a tight downhill spiral that leads to the drop-away staircase. Into turn #4, bikes get up around 125, 30 miles an hour as they trim the inside of turn 4 up to turn #5. Hard braking as they throw the bikes down and left. Up the hill they go. Again, wide, brand new paving makes this a great new racetrack for the racers. Into turn #6, this is where a lot of the hard braking is done. Here at Road Atlanta, they pull it down into second gear, accelerate up the short chute to turn 7, squared off, and make that big right-hand turn that leads onto the back straightaway. Just a little hint of a bump as the riders accelerate up to 160 miles an hour down this long back straightaway. They come to the middle portion of the track in turn #8, which is actually a little wheelie bump before descending into the gravity cavity part of the racetrack. This is where these big bikes go to 160 miles an hour as they drop down and away before braking hard into the hill that leads up to the bridge that enters the turn 11 area of the racetrack. Under the bridge and down the hill, brand new wide pavement also greets the riders here as they go to the final turn on the course here at Road Atlanta.
And if you're riding in the Formula USA class, you're going to have to negotiate this course a couple of times today. We'll take the points from both legs, total them up to come up with a Formula USA winner. Cycle World's coverage of the Metzeler Grand National Finals is being brought to Formula USA. The first leg is about to get underway, and as I speak, the flag drops, and they are underway. Around the outside, number 19, that's Michael Barnes. Coming up on the inside, one of the contenders for the title, Michael Martin. He's rider number 96. Other riders to watch, they're up close to the front. 421 is Fritz Kling. Chuck Graves is back in about 5th place now. He's rider number 24. He's the series points leader with 2 legs to determine the champion, Rich. How important is it to get the whole shot in leg number 1?
You've got to really get going quickly. David Sadowski really charging into turn 5. He gets in way too deep. Gets wide off the line as Martin grabs the lead back. Just a little bit too anxious on those cold tires. Really almost caught Sadowski there early on. But getting back to your question, Larry, it's very important to do well in segment number 1, especially on the early lap. The number 96 machine, Michael Martin, leads the way out on the back straightaway.
Well, let's straighten this out while the riders sort themselves out on this first lap here at Road Atlanta in the Formula USA class. There are 2 separate races in Formula USA. We combine the finishing positions of both races, and that determines who the overall winners are and the places behind that overall winner. What was that wave?
A problem for Michael Martin with his hand up there on the back straightaway. Kling swoops by to take the lead as Martin drops off the pace.
Well, Mike Martin, one of the contenders. As I started to say, you've got to finish well in both races because that determines the points that they'll walk away with today. And Martin already out of it. He was in contention for the title, and that wave of the hand, that dropping back off the pace, is going to just about, I think, ruin his championship hopes. There is absolutely no way he'll be able to get back into this one.
We'll check on the problem later. Right now, Sadowski grabbing the lead, going along with him, the number 24 machine, along with number 421, Fritz Kling, a 3-rider breakaway here early on.
But it would appear that Chuck Graves, rider number 24, is going to have that championship handed to him if he's able to finish up front in both of these races. The other 2 guys are pretty much out of it. Rich Oliver is way at the back of the pack. Meanwhile, Sadowski showing the crew the short way around the racetrack. There goes Graves. He had a notion on the inside, but backed out of it, fell in the line. Here comes Fritz Kling, and Kling just stuffs the wheel to the inside of Graves. He takes over the number 2 position. Kling and Sadowski, the riders running 1-2, have absolutely nothing to gain in terms of championship honors. They're looking for just a little bit of prestige out here, and I think if I'm Chuck Graves, I'm going to stay out of their way.
3 different brand of motorcycles as they race down in the gravity cavity part of the racetrack. This is the top end portion of the course. And Fritz Kling trying for the lead there as they break into the bridge area.
Well, Kling coming off a win. He won the 5th round of the Wera Pro Series in Pocono, and he'd like to make it 2 in a row, obviously, and I think Chuck Graves is going to be happy if he comes out of this one with his hide and wins the title. That's what's at stake for him today. So the battle up front between Kling, rider number 421 out of Lansing, Michigan, and from Buford, Georgia, rider number 25, that's Dave Sadowski, and the 2 of them are really going at it.
Sadowski's on board the Aurora Honda, built by Mike Velasco as part of the LaBelle Honda crew, riding in its very first race under David Sadowski here. He's really giving him a ride. They're in 2nd place as he tries to chase down Kling.
Now, Graves is just watching from the number 3 position. Does he have anything left, or is he staying back there because he wants to stay out of trouble?
He's got a lot of horsepower in that Valvoline Suzuki. I think right now he is just camped out back there watching the antics of these first 2 riders as he tries to just maintain a nice steady pace that's going to keep him there, so he'll have a shot at this win in this first segment. Still
in the early going, leg number 1. There are 2 races. Let me re-emphasize that point to determine the championship that will be decided here today. Fritz Kling is doing it all out front along with Dave Sadowski. Those 2 riders really getting at it, and Rich Oliver, meanwhile, is well back in the pack. He's aboard a 250cc machine. The rest of these guys are on fire-breathing monsters.
He's got his hands full back there in the back part of the top 10, fending off the likes of Ray Yoder, number 33, Trey Batey, also Michael Barnes still back there fighting for position just inside the top 5.
Well, we know that this Road Atlanta track was repaved. The surface is much better than it used to be, and Oliver thought that might favor the 250. It did in the first Atlanta race, but today he has his hands full, and he's not in contention. Tell you what, we're going to take a short break. We'll leave Kling, Sadowski, Graves, Batey, Barnes in that order, and when we come back, we'll see how it goes. Road Atlanta, if you've just joined us, this is the Wera Grand National Championship Finals. Out front, it's Fritz Kling, it's Dave Sadowski running into number 2 position. Behind him was Chuck Graves, and here is Mike Martin. Mike Martin was in contention for the title. He still has a problem with that motorcycle. The number 96 bike just is not getting around the track. Why doesn't he pull in, Rich?
Well, he's just trying to nurse this thing home. Sounds like it's running on just 2 cylinders. Every now and then it'll cut on the 4 cylinders, but he's just trying to get a result in here in leg number 1. That's what's important for his title hopes. He's got to be inside the top 10.
If he can do that and he can come back strong in leg number 2, and if Graves would have a problem, then he would still be in contention for the title.
He could still have a shot at it, but he's going to have to really go something. A lot of dogfights going on back there in the back part of the top 10. Out in front, though, Fritz Kling on that Scotty Miller, a barely human Yamaha. They're leading the way into the gravity cavity.
Well, obviously, Chuck Graves with a lot of power. We see him pull up, and here comes Martin again, but we see the power of that Suzuki as he pulls up on the 2 leaders and then kind of backs out of it. He's trying to stay out of their way, and Martin continues to nurse that motorcycle around the racetrack. Meanwhile, back in the pack, rider number 97 is Rich Oliver. He's aboard the 250, and Oliver also in contention for the title. He did well here in the spring, as I pointed out, and he frankly thought that because this surface newly paved was going to give him more runoff with that 250, that he would do well out here today, but it's not happening.
He's got his hands full with Mike Harth on the number 8 Aurora Honda. That's the teammate to David Sadowski, who draws a bead on the back of Fritz Kling as they work out of turn number 5.
Fritz Kling and Sadowski, they are running 1 and 2. They're not in contention for the title. They are showing the rest of the field the short way around this racetrack. They've been there since the get-go of this championship race here at Road Atlanta, and it appears that they intend to stay there the rest of the afternoon.
I think they want to settle it amongst themselves. A good gap back to a great battle going on for the 4th and 5th place positions, but up front, Fritz Kling leading the way. He's about 6'4". As they start to encounter some traffic here, Jim Bonner, number 27, moves over to the outside of the racetrack as the top 3 sweep by.
It looks like he didn't know which way to move or doesn't know which way to move, and they're going to kind of pick his pocket as they go around. Last lap, the white flag is out. This will determine the results for leg number 1. Kling with about a 3-bike length lead as he heads into corner number 1. Sadowski looking for a place to run in underneath, take him up high. I think Dave Sadowski really does not care at this point. He wants to get in front of Kling. He's got a hometown crowd in front of him, and he loves to do well here at Road Atlanta, and Kling right now is standing in his way. Are we going to see Sadowski be content to hold that number 2 position?
He really likes this racetrack with the repaving job. He says it's a completely different racetrack. You can try things that normally would get you in a lot of trouble on the old course. He's pulling out the stops here as they go to turn 6 for the final time. So
the prediction, as you say, pulling out the stops, I interpret that to mean that we're going to see some kind of a last-ditch effort on the part of Sadowski. Let's hope the hole is there for him to make that pass attempt on. It's Fritz Kling out front. We're on the last lap of the first leg of the Formula USA contest. Kling, Sadowski, Chuck Graves. Graves is going to be content to sit in that number 3 position. He'll not look to make any passes unless there's a wide open doorway. Sadowski, on the other hand, is now starting to close on Kling. He's gone from 3 laps. Let's make that to 2 bike lengths. And Sadowski sweeps to the inside, and he takes over, at least temporarily. And Sadowski, with a tank slapper, almost gets off. He saves it. He's going to win the first leg. An unbelievable effort on the part of Dave Sadowski. And Kling is looking at him like, man, are you nuts? I don't know if he said, don't do that to me again, or congratulations, one of the two. We need to go back and take another look at that Sadowski pass attempt. What is he doing?
He tries a late braking move down to the inside, going to the bridge, hard on the brakes. Then he just flops it down on the right-hand case real hard. Kling sees the bike coming across on his right side. Sadowski right to the inside edge of the track, using all of the racetrack now to the outside edge to the paint stripes that mark the entrance to the pit area. Larry, that's where he gets into trouble. He almost throws it away.
Paint stripes just a tad slipperier than the rest of the racetrack. Sadowski saves it, though. He goes on to take the win, followed by Kling, Graves, Batey, Yoder. The unlucky guy in this one was Michael Martin. Let's hear what he has to say.
We don't know what happened, actually, at this point. You know, we just rolled her back into the pits, and but it's a big disappointment. You know, we really thought we had a shot at the title, you know, and but you know, this is racing, you know, and you got to take it for what it's worth, and we just had some problems this year on this. The Valvoline Suzuki ran good when it ran, and we had a few mechanical problems, but you know, it's a big disappointment. I know Keith just feels really bad. You know, we really tried to get the bike running good, and it looked like things were going to happen for us, you know, and then going down the dip down there, it just signed off, you know, and I don't know. We're going to tear it apart and try to get going back in the second race again, but you know, it sure is disappointing, you know, there's no question.
We'll see the Formula USA second leg later in the program. Hopefully Mike Martin will be in it. Coming up next, Formula 3, the 125s.
Do you add a tip when you pay your taxes? Use lots of stamps when you only need one? Well, your brand is probably on this table, next to mine. Both brands protect to 84 below zero. Boil-over protection? Identical. And both protect all metals. There is one important difference. Either this one costs about $1 more, or this one costs about $1 less. Peak. Maximum everything except the price.
We sure want to welcome everyone here to Tony and Joe's Seafood Place, Washington Harbor. We have beautiful people, beautiful views, and the best seafood in Washington, bar none. We're famous for our crab cakes, different specials every day, fresh mahi, swordfish, salmon, full seafood menu, and we do have steaks, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, and chicken for those that aren't crazy about seafood. It's just a wonderful place to come.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta, the Wera Grand National Finals. A look back at Formula 3, the 125s. Now, rider number 69 was Nicky Hayden. Number 9 is Tommy Hayden. The brothers out of Owensboro, Kentucky will decide the championship in this 125cc class. The flag has been thrown, and they are off, and 125s, Rich, are exciting.
Rodney Fee grabs the early lead. He is really a young, fine rider who honed himself riding YZR 50s. Now he's moved up to the Formula 3 class. He leads the way early on in this 10-lap main event.
Well, we'll tell you right now, because we have had an opportunity to watch the footage from this 125cc class. Then in the look back, we're concerned with Thornton McPheeters. He's rider number 74. Nicky Hayden, 69. Tommy Hayden, rider number 9. Coming into this championship event, Tommy Hayden was on top of the championship point standings. He had 77. His younger brother, Nicky, with 72 points. And Rodney Fee, had 67. And Nancy Delgado, who was not in the picture at this time, had 58 in 4th place. So the title really is going to be decided up front today, and any one of 4 riders could mathematically jump out and grab it. Now, the 125s are like bumblebees on the racetrack, but they are indeed specialty motorcycles.
Almost 44 horsepowers are made by these little 125 machines. As they work on the back straightaway, they'll get about 130 miles an hour, and the draft is very important, as you'll see 4 and 5 of these riders go nose to tail as they try to chase down Fee here in lap number 2.
Rodney Fee, threatening to make this a runaway, is 23 years old. Now, rider number 69, that's Nicky Hayden. He's 13 years old. Behind him, his brother, his older brother, and he's an elderly 15 years of age. They're the 2 riders that are going to decide this championship here today. Just a few points, 5, separating them as the flag dropped on the final round in this Formula 3 class. So Fee threatening to run away with this one, and we talk about power to weight ratio a lot. In the 125 class, it's probably more important than any of the other classes.
Of the utmost importance, and you can see the drive that Nicky Hayden gets off of the corners. It's just a very small individual. Looks like a helmet with feet sometimes when you see him around in the pit area. He weighs about 80 pounds, ready to go racing, and that's a tremendous advantage here in the Formula 3.
Give a call to Thornton McPheeters. He's in the number 4 position, rider number 74 in the blue leathers. McPheeters is about to make a couple of big league moves as he's going to sweep by both of the Hayden brothers, and he'll come out of this series of corners in the number 2 position, and he'll be in position then to go after Rodney Fee, number 501. And there goes McPheeters into the number 2 slot, and he now is in great shape.
Leading that little mini Hayden freight train, but here comes the Hayden boys right back. Nicky Hayden, with that tremendous power to weight ratio, just drafts back by to grab 2nd place.
I would have to think the weight difference between the 2 has to approach about 100 pounds, and certainly Hayden is doing everything with that lack of weight that is expected of him. Rider number 69, Nicky Hayden, in the number 2 position in the series, 13 years of age, and he weighs 78 pounds.
Down into turn number 12. Again, McPheeters tries to close it back up on Nicky Hayden. Now, he is daring on the brakes. I think that's where he is making a majority of his time. Here he tries down to the inside on Nicky Hayden.
Now, these Haydens, you know, even at that tender age, 13 and 15, have been racing since, gosh, I guess they were about 5 or 6 years old, both of them. So they have a wealth of racing knowledge under their belts. It's not like they're new kids on the block and coming out here to see what it's all about. In fact, one of them, the rider that's leading the series, Tommy Hayden, is a former Wera champion.
He won that championship right here at Road Atlanta, but he was an amateur rider at the time and wasn't able to carry the #1 plate. The next year he came back as an expert rider, got third in the series last year, and is looking for his title here this year in 1993.
Rodney Fee, number 501, is out front. Chasing him, Thornton McPheeters. Now there's a huge gap between first and second place. And at this point, it looks almost insurmountable. As a matter of fact, Rodney Fee, looking over his shoulder, he sees nothing but asphalt behind him. And I think at this point, he has it locked up. At least that's what is running through his mind. Surprises, though, yet to come. When we come back, you'll see those surprises. Stay with us as Rodney Fee, McPheeters, Hayden, and STRUKE are leading this Formula 3 race. We'll be right back. Out front, it's rider number 501. That's Rodney Fee. Chasing him, Thornton McPheeters. He's rider number 74. Running back in the number 3 position is the rider that is in line for the championship, Nicky Hayden, if his younger brother, Tommy Hayden, should falter. There's a shot of Nicky. Now, running behind him is Tommy Hayden. He's in the number 4 position. Now, when we left just a few moments ago for commercial, rider number 501, Fee, was way out front. And look at this. McPheeters has not only caught him, he's about to go by.
McPheeters, using the horsepower of the Aprilia on that back straightaway, has drafted alongside Rodney Fee, but they race wheel to wheel in the gravity cavity at over 125 miles an hour. Who's going to give first, Larry?
Well, this is a look back. We saw this 125cc action earlier today. Put it on tape because we thought, quite frankly, it was one of the better races you're going to see anywhere. And these two riders are certainly not disproving our thoughts as McPheeter takes over the number 1 position. And if we go back about 2 laps ago, I would have thought that that was an impossibility. But sweeping right back, rider number 501 is Rodney Fee, and he regains the number 1 spot, but ever so short a time as McPheeters just sweeps around the outside of that corner using the speed and the power and I'd have to say the grunt ability of that Aprilia to regain the number 1 spot.
It has a Rotax motor, a rotary valve, as opposed to the Reed valve Honda. He holds the point position, but Rodney Fee really carries a lot of speed through the corner, and that is everything in Formula 3. You've got to keep your terminal speed up, and that's what Rodney Fee has been doing very well at. But McPheeters with the Aprilia has moved up into the lead.
Well, if you've just joined us, we're watching the 125cc class. As I pointed out, the 2 riders that really are in contention for the title are running back in 3rd and 4th place. They're the Hayden brothers. Tommy Hayden has 77 points. He's rider number 9. There he is. And his younger brother, Nicky Hayden, with 72 points. So just 5 points separating them. And it would appear at this point, because I would point out to you that neither one of these 2 riders are in contention for the title, that Nicky is going to come up second best among the Hayden brothers, and Tommy will win the title. But the race out front has the attention of the spectators. It has been a great one. Another lead change coming up. Rider 501, Rodney Fee, sweeps to the inside, and here comes the Aprilia. He has to drop back off the pace this time, being ridden by Thornton McPheeters. Those 2 riders cross the finish line. They'll have to do it one more time today. The white flag is out, signifying 1 lap remaining. Any predictions, Rich? Rodney
Fee really carrying speed, but that horsepower of the Aprilia able to drive right around the outside and regain the lead. McPheeters there in the 1st place position, but I think Rodney Fee is in a catbird seat there if the draft comes into play.
Well, we've seen that scenario a couple of times today. McPheeters is able to take the number 1 spot by using the low-end power of the Aprilia, but the Honda rider, Rodney Fee, running now in the number 2 position, is able to get him back on the back portions of the racetrack in the last couple of corners. We'll see if he's able to do that one more time as they're going to head for the checkered flag in just a couple of corners. Keep your eye on this battle for 1st and 2nd place. Out front is Thornton McPheeters, running in the number 2 position. Rodney Fee running back in 3rd and 4th. The Hayden brothers, they'll decide the championship, but the battle out front is what is in question at this time, and it's McPheeters as they head for home.
The number 501 machine, Fee, just trying everything here in the last lap. He gets in just the tail end of the draft, and then a tremendous late braking maneuver there going to the bridge. A little traffic might have caused McPheeters just to back out just a little bit, Larry.
Watch this. Coming up on the inside, McPheeters gives it one more shot, and I would have thought that Fee would have backed off it, but he didn't. He just kept the hand buried in the throttle. He takes the win. Just an outstanding race effort on the part of both of those riders. And if you're Fee, I think by now you have to be saying, where did he come from, number 1? And 2, how did he get there? It's Fee, McPheeters, HAYDEN, and STRUKE in the first 5 positions. Let's take a look at the next 5. Finishing 6th, it was WAUGH, then Shell, BAKKER, BRILL, and DEWAR. Let's go to Rodney Fee.
And at the end there, I was real surprised that he caught up to me. Didn't think that he'd make it up to me and be able to catch me. That was the closest one I've had so far in the Wera series. It was a real good race. I liked it a lot.
Nice nudge on the part of, well, you call it. Fee took the win, but Tommy Hayden wins the championship. Fee finishes 2nd, then Nicky Hayden finishes 3rd. Nancy Delgado was 4th, Kevin Murray 5th. Let's go to Tommy Hayden.
It means a lot, pretty much. It's my first pro road race championship. And it means quite a bit to help me next year with sponsors and stuff.
And our congratulations and stuff to Tommy. We'll be back with the Formula 2 right after this. Cycle World, it's Wera Grand National Championship Racing Formula 2, the 250s. The gate has dropped, or the flag has been thrown, I should say, and we are underway with the highlights of that race. The man that wins it jumps out in front. He's going to win the championship. That's no surprise to anyone. Rich Oliver out of Fresno, California. He pretty much has been Mr. Everything in this 250 class all season long, Rich.
He not only rides in the Formula 2 class, but competes in the Formula USA as well. Right now, he has got a jackrabbit start over the rest of the field here in Formula 2.
Well, holding down the number 2 position, and no surprise there either, is a teammate of Oliver. That's Chuck Sorenson. Running back in the number 3 and 4 spots, Kurt Hall. He's rider number 1, and Jeep Terranova, rider number 137, when we get close enough for you to see those numbers. Now, number 1, Hall is the defending 250cc national champ, or Formula 2 champ. He'll not earn that honor in 1993. That one's going to go to Oliver, and Oliver really has mastered this Road Atlanta racetrack aboard the 250.
He not only has many laps on the old course, but he really likes the new course as well. All of the veteran riders really like the new surface, and Oliver is taking off. A good battle back just outside of the top 5 throughout the early laps in this Formula 2 as well.
Well, that battle between Mike Sullivan, he's in 5th. Hemmelbach is in 6th, and Andrew Trevitt is in the number 7 position. Now, we've alluded several times to this new surface. What they have done is put a new layer of asphalt down and have widened some of the corners. And it's made the track a lot faster through the corners, and particularly for the 250cc class. As a matter of fact, Rich Oliver had this to say about it when I talked to him earlier. He said, it's faster cornering. I can go through it much faster. The old surface was bumpy, and Oliver called it a point-and-shoot racetrack. Now, here's the battle for the number 2 position. Sorenson and Kurt Hall sweeping to the inside, and Hall takes over the number 2 slot.
Number 1 rider carrying that plate for the final time in 1993 as he is retired this year. Up into 2nd place, Sorenson and Jeep Terranova. They're knocking on the door in 4th place. Terranova almost a 2nd place finish at the AMA race out at Sears Point before he threw it away on the final lap. He's trying to hang on there in the top 3.
And we're looking at the checkered flag for Rich Oliver, and he circulated that racetrack at a very, very relaxed pace. I believe Rich, had anyone come up to challenge Oliver, that he certainly could have turned up the wick just a little bit. Here are the finishing positions in Formula 2. Rich Oliver, Sorenson finishing 2nd, then Hall, Terranova, and Trevitt. Let's go to Rich Oliver.
Yeah, that felt good. You always want to win a championship with a win on the last race. Well, it's cold out there. My hands are falling asleep. My feet are falling asleep. But, you know, Performance South getting 1st and 2nd in the race, winning the championship, that was great.
Well, congratulations to Rich Oliver for, well, staying awake long enough to not only win the race, but to win the Formula 2 Wera Championship. Congratulations, Rich. And now we go to an event that took place earlier in the week, endurance racing. I think we could sum this up by saying, keep it upright through the help of your friends, longer than your buddy.
Yeah, with the help of your friends you need, and a good team, too. Endurance racing, of course, the art of a team of motorcycle people, mechanics, riders, of course, trying to win a race over extended periods of time with varying conditions. And right off the bat, the number 1 machine, the Team Suzuki Endurance machine, jumps out into the early lead, showing you how they got that number 1 plate on that big Suzuki.
Well, endurance racing encompasses not only going fast on the racetrack, but it requires, well, I think a lot of agility in the pits. We have tire changes, You have gasoline stops, and John Ulrich, putting together this Suzuki team, is the master at orchestrating all of those efforts.
He always brings in some good riders to assist him in his challenge-ship attempts. He has been the master of Wera endurance racing over the last 6 or 8 years. A good battle developed there for the 2nd and 3rd place position with the number 5 and the number 4 machines. The Virginia Breeze and the Holland Still Racing machines battled throughout the event. Then things got a little bit damper, and it was Virginia Breeze who moved to the 4 and took the lead from Team Suzuki.
Indeed they did, and indeed it did get damper. As a matter of fact, the officials from Wera put a damper on the races. They brought the teams in and gave them an option of changing tires if they so desired.
Well, some of the teams actually chose intermediate tires. They didn't know how bad it was going to get. It got worse, folks. The Team Suzuki crew put intermediate tires on it, and they managed to hold on to a tenuous lead there, but it kept getting deeper, Larry.
If we look at conditions like this, what does that do to a lap time? And now we can barely see the motorcycles. Does it just about double it?
It almost doubles it exactly. The speeds you just can't go hard in the corners or accelerate hard, and all of the teams are raging for a chance to get onto pit road to get some full rain tires on the bike.
I think that I would want to get on pit road to get off the motorcycle and let someone else take it over. Not only was it raining, but it was very cold. But Team Valvoline had all of the answers.
All of the answers indeed. They have one of the most successful crews. Michael Martin assisting in the replacement of the full rain tires. Here's Paul Youngman III on the Virginia Breeze machine, bringing it in to turn over to Glenn Zarek. Zarek, who rode a majority of this 4-hour endurance event, really did a good job keeping the Virginia team there in the standings. A little bit of trouble, though, on one of the pit stops might have cost them a chance at the win.
Well, the Suzuki effort had already wrapped up the championship coming into Road Atlanta, so it made little difference how this race turned out. However, they were not about to give up. I think that there's a little bit of pride connected to this type of a race effort, and they wanted to show the world, and most certainly the audience at Road Atlanta, that they were number one when it comes to sunshine, when it comes to wet, and certainly when it comes to winning endurance races. Here's Kurt Hall.
Well, I tell you, it was really rough for a while. My hands went numb after about a half an hour. I couldn't really feel the controls real well, but just tried to keep putting in good, consistent lap times, and I knew Michael would be able to bring it home in a #1 spot, and the Valvoline Suzuki ran really well today, and the crew did a great job of getting us in and out of the pits in a hurry, so we had a good day, even though the weather was really lousy.
Well, it's warm in our booth, so our congratulations will go out to all of the competitors, in particular, of course, to Team Suzuki. This is the way the championship season ended up. Coming up, Formula USA. There is still one more leg to run to determine the championship. Stay with us. We'll be right back. On the line, Formula USA. This is the second leg. Earlier in the program, we watched Dave Sadowski, Fritz KLING, and Chuck Graves in that order finish 1, 2, 3 in the first leg. Now, we'll add their finishing positions to however they finish in leg number 2 as they get underway. That will determine the overall finishing positions and the championship. And it's Sadowski, rider number 25, who breaks to the front early in this one.
Big CBR 900R base superbike that Mike Velasco has built for the Formula USA grabs the early lead as he heads down through the S's here on lap number 1. A real scramble going on back in the field. Running in second place, number 24, Graves. Now, Graves and Sadowski have been going at each other all day long. And not only the Formula USA, but the Suzuki Cup races held this race weekend as well. They've just really had a weekend of racing between the two of them.
Well, Chuck Graves is in line to win the championship. He needs to keep it upright. He needs to finish only up inside the top 10, and he'll walk home with the honors. So what will he do? Will he play it cool, or does he go for the win?
Well, he's champion's kind of champion. He wants to win. He said he was going to have fun, and I think part of that fun would be beating David Sadowski after what's gone on throughout the racing weekend here. Fritz KLING camped out in the third place position, and there's Michael Martin running up into 5th position. In fact, it'll be a 3-wide battle there for positions just outside the top 5.
Michael Martin in line to win the championship. Had a mechanical problem in race number 1. He finished way back in 17th place. Color him gone as far as a championship contender. Meanwhile, up front, it's Dave Sadowski running in the number 1 position. He's being chased by Chuck Graves. and I'm really amazed that Graves will not let Sadowski go. I would have thought that he would have elected to fall back away off the lead, stay out of trouble, and garner the championship. But you pointed out that he's out there to have fun, and that means winning races. I guess once a racer, always a racer. Sadowski, Graves, Kling in that order.
They work their way across the backside of the racetrack as the field stretches across the stripe. Your leader, Sadowski, with the number 24 machine of Graves, followed there only about 8 or 10 bike lengths back by Fritz Kling. He is starting to reel in that front pair just a little bit.
Well, Kling was extremely fast in race number 1, and of course, early laps in this second leg. We really have not seen them start to stretch it out or really ring it out is what I should say. The tires are just now heating up, and that means, of course, faster speeds on this relatively cold track. Because it is cold out here today, and that makes a difference.
Usually a single lap will warm the tires, but under conditions like this, it'll take 2 or 3 as Graves has his tires warm, and he starts to think about the lead.
Well, he's doing more than thinking about it. With an inside move, Graves sweeps into the number 1 position, and now it's Graves' turn to lead the way around this Road Atlanta racetrack. It's Chuck Graves, Dave Sadowski, then Fritz Kling, who is still watching from that number 3 position. And I'm wondering at this point if they would not like to stay away from Sadowski down in that last corner.
Well, he had an eyeful just at the end of that first leg, and he is camped out in 3rd place as Sadowski and Graves play tag up there for the lead.
Well, if I'm Chuck Graves, playing tag is not what I want to do at this particular juncture of the race. One mishap, and he could be looking at goodbye championship, and Rich Oliver would take over. Here's the battle for 5th. Number 37 is Thomas Wilson. He was just passed by number 42, Takahito Mori, and Mori takes over that number 5 position, dropping Wilson back to 6th. Here's the battle for the lead. It's still Chuck Graves out front, followed by Sadowski and Kling holding down the number 3 slot.
Number 97, Oliver, still just a glimmer of a championship hope alive, leading a freight train of Lee Shirts, number 21, the number 96 machine of Michael Martin and Ray Yoder, number 52. They work their way on the back straight away.
We'll clarify Oliver's position. You have to score points in both legs in order to be in line for overall points. So Martin is out of it. If Graves should falter in this leg, then Oliver could win the championship. We'll be back. Style. This is the second leg of Formula USA. Out front, Chuck Graves. Running in the number 2 position is Dave Sadowski. Now, these 2 riders earlier today were running in similar positions when they got together to talk things over. And boy, did they ever get together. Let's set it up for you. It was the Can-Am Challenge, the Suzuki Can-Am Challenge race. And Sadowski was running in a number 3 slot. Graves was running in 2nd. Well, let's take a look, and you'll see what I mean. Here they come. You'll see Sadowski back in 3rd. He goes to the inside. Now, we're going to see him drop out of the camera here momentarily. But look at this. Unbelievable crash action. And would you believe that both these riders got up and walked away? What happened here, Rich?
Well, these bikes, of course, the Suzuki GSXRs on DOT tires. Sadowski might have had a prayer of making that move stick on slicks, but not on DOTs. He throws it down and takes Chuck Graves with him. There's Graves doing a little asphalt diving.
And Graves sliding through the dirt. Now watch the motorcycle as it digs into the ground, kicks up in the air. Sadowski is underneath the one that's still on the ground. Now he's out there, both into the hay bales. And again, I want to point out to you that both riders are okay. Look at that motorcycle. About a 3.5 gainer. I would say that's about a 3.9 degree of difficulty. Don't get much tougher than that. Into the tires, and one more time I'll tell you that both riders walked away. That happened just about a half hour or so ago. And they're both, as a matter of fact, back out in this race, and none the worse for wear, although I'm sure that there are some aching bones, and I don't think they'll be talking to each other in a friendly way for too many more days. Time's going to have to let that one heal. Graves extremely upset at Sadowski. Meanwhile, Fritz Kling is starting to make a run now. Graves has dropped back to the number 2 position. Sadowski out front, and Kling has closed the gap.
3 different brand of motorcycles. The Aurora Honda of Mike Velasco out in front, but Fritz Kling, I think he's tired of 3rd place. He is nibbling at the heels of Chuck Graves.
Well, Kling is not a regular on the Wera circuit, but it seems like when he shows up, he wins. We can go back 1 year ago, and Kling was the winner here at Road Atlanta in the Fall Classic. We go back one race ago at Pocono, and Kling was the overall winner there, and he'd just love to turn that honor here again at Road Atlanta one more time. Sadowski and Kling battling for the #1 spot. Graves staying out of it as Kling sweeps into the lead, and Graves staying out of it, as I said, and reason is he has championship on his mind, and he really cannot afford to get into a do or die battle with the two front runners at this point in time.
Looks like somebody flipped a light switch on the barely human Yamaha with Fritz Kling using all of the racetrack 6'4", and he is a lot of motorcycle racers. He has plugged his way up into the point position. Using all the track, you can see him working the tires right out to the edge of the course, Larry.
This battle is the same battle we saw in leg #1 as these two riders took it all to the finish line, and it looks like it's going to be a repeat. And again, I would point out to you that Graves, with a championship in mind, is going to sit back in the #3 position. They're fighting their way through lap traffic. That could be a factor before this one is over. But Kling right now appears to have mastered this Road Atlanta course. He's opened up about a 6, 8, maybe 10 bike length lead over Sadowski, and now Graves has moved into the #2 position.
Some kind of problem evidently coming apart on the machine. Just not the same drive off the corner. Sadowski's Honda dropping from 1st to 3rd in only a single lap. Kling with the lead, stretching it out. Graves trying to bring him back in.
And Graves holding on to his championship hopes, now putting the distance between himself and Sadowski. White flag lap, and it would appear that Kling has this one well in hand.
Trey Batey, number 33, really putting a charge on. He is closed on David Sadowski. That's the battle now for 3rd and 4th place. There's Richard Oliver, number 97, still leading that high-speed, high-horsepower freight train.
The sun is starting to set here at Road Atlanta. You can see the riders as they crest the hill, kind of riding into that haze, and it gets considerably darker. Is that a factor on the racetrack?
Oh, it's definitely a factor. You have to split the hair or hit the eye of the needle, whichever way you want to do it at these high speeds, and that is definitely a factor as this race starts to draw to a close.
Kling continues to let it all hang out, and he has opened a huge lead now in that point position. Kling is going to go on and win this one, and that will give him overall honors for the day. The battle still for number 2, and that could be between Graves, or I should say it is between Graves and Sadowski, but it matters not at this point. If Graves can keep it upright and running to the finish line, he will be the Formula USA champ, and Kling will take the overall win, and Sadowski will come up short. That certainly in front of his hometown crowd is not what he was looking for.
A little bit of traffic on the final lap holding up David Sadowski, just enough that Trey Batey almost had a shot at 3rd place as they go to the bridge for the final time.
A lap rider to deal with. He gets out of the way. Fritz Kling bends it into the corner for the final time this afternoon. He takes the checkered flag, followed by Sadowski, Graves, Batey, and Oliver. And Metzler. Metzler tires. Feel the difference. And who is that smiling under that bright red helmet? Well, it's the Formula USA champion. A pair of 3rd places today gave him that honor. Chuck Graves, Team Valvoline Suzuki. Here's the way they finished when we combined the 2 legs of Formula USA. Overall honors go to Fritz Kling, David Sadowski, Graves, Batey, and Oliver. And here's a look at the second 5 in the order in which they finished. Now, Fritz Kling all day long went at it hot and heavy with Dave Sadowski.
Yeah, we went at it both heats. The first one, he hunted me down. Second one, I hunted him down. So, you know, it was it. We had a great time, and this Scotty Miller prepared YZF 1000 ran great. Oh, it was excellent.
Tell you what, Fritz Kling rode it great. Now, here's the way the final scoring chalked up in Formula USA. Chuck Graves, Rich Oliver, Martin, Schertz, Joe Brett Williams finishing the number 5 slot. Sadowski finished 6th, D'Alucio, Batey, Kling, and Sorenson. Let's hear from Chuck Graves, who put it all together this afternoon.
I guess I couldn't ask for better, you know. It just kind of like everything fell into place. It was riding good, and Tom Houseworth was doing a good job, and the whole team Suzuki, you know, John Ulch's team, and you know, I just had a really fun season, you know.
Well, our congratulations to Chuck Graves. Chuck, let me let you in on a little secret. Anytime you win a championship, it's bound to be a fun season. Motorcyclist Magazine has selected a rider of the race. It's Kurt Hall. Kurt earlier announced his retirement.
I've had a real good career, and I've been very blessed, and you know, in that having a real successful career. It's just time for me to step out right now, and you know, it was a hard decision because I still have so much fun when I'm racing. But you know, it's time. Every once in a while, your priorities change, and right now, I'm just you know, want to spend a little bit more time with Pamela. Although she travels with me to the races now, we look forward to having just kind of a bit more of a normal life, not traveling quite so much, and I'll still be involved with road racing in quite a big degree.
Well, I find it hard to believe we could hold a road race without Kurt Hall being part of it. We'll miss you, Kurt, and I really will not believe the retirement until 1994 rolls around and Kurt is not part of the race circuit. I kind of think he's going to be back. The Falcon Inn in Swanee, Georgia, the official hotel of Wera. They've been our home away from home, and we certainly do appreciate their hospitality. They've been just great, and if you're in this area, hopefully you will give them a call. Rich, any final thoughts as we look back over the 1993 Wera season and those riders that did so well this weekend?
A great season of racing for the Wera Pro Series. I look forward to next year as things really heated up here at the end at Road Atlanta.
Oh, they did, and they
decided to call it quits. He, of course...
When life on the Enterprise stops making sense, why is Worf the only one who notices? Find out on an all-new episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Next on Fox 22, your 10 o'clock news station.